Today I'm working on the tie rods. I had to get the sway bar, the stabilizer off, and it sits on a, here we go, on just a regular shock mount perch. So I had to knock that out as well. That was a 11/16 for the nut that goes behind the stabilizer, and a 3/4 and some hammer wax to knock that out. And then I just transferred it over to the new one so I knew which position to be in before mounting everything up. Next step, pull out these cotter pins. Get your cotter pins out. And you gotta break loose this nut and this nut, which is a 1/16. This side hit us with some problems, so we're gonna have to go with an escalation of force, but you can see how it's spinning inside the tie rod here. First attempt is gonna be, I'm gonna wedge this pickle fork in without hurting my wheel any, hopefully, and see if wedging this will give me enough force to break it loose. Okay, got it wedged in nice and tight. And it looks like we're still not coming loose. Now I'm gonna soak it. I can't really heat it well because my tire's right there, unless I won't pull the tire off. So I'm gonna soak it now, wedge a little bit more force in there. If that doesn't work, I'm gonna grab it with some vice grips. All right, I got it just enough to get some locking pliers in there. Let's try it again. There it goes. Off. Now, typically, once I break them loose, I'll take a little BFH here, big hammer, give it some taps. Hammer in here instead of here if you need to reuse any of this castle nut. But if you hammer here, that shock will break that loose and let it drop. If you leave the nut on a little bit, a few threads, it'll keep it from falling all the way down on you. If you're on the lift or something, that would not feel too good. But hammering that, the other option, you can take a pickle fork, stick it in there. I call it pickle fork. I don't know what they call these anymore. Split fork, I don't know. Tuning fork, make a nice tune. Stick it in here, hammer it in, and then make another tool that grabs onto here and presses down on here. I don't use that one very often. I usually get it with a hammer or a little bit of heat. You can see here the original has taken some bending over the years. This truck was last driven at Uwharrie in North Carolina, doing some nice little rocky trails, and that's probably where they bash this bad boy up. This one's a little bit thicker. I'll try to find the part number and add it to the description for you. Another good practice I like to do at least is to get a little anti-seize on the threads. And then what I'll do is I will match up the width as close as I can to the part I just took off, and then slam it on before checking the alignment. But the anti-seize will help me in the future making adjustments and anything and getting this apart. And once you have them close length, it's time to go back in. These little boots come with it. You can make sure to slide those on first. Now we'll take our torque wrench and we'll go to 45 foot-pounds. I'm using my smaller torque wrench, my 3/8 with an adapter, because 45 falls right into the middle. And from what I've heard over the years, they're more accurate towards the center of the reading. No idea if that's true, just what I've heard. But we'll go to 45, it'll click on us. There's a click. Now we're gonna look for our hole. As soon as that hole is lined up, if I'm not lined up, it looks like I'm lined up now. If I'm not lined up enough to get the cotter pin in, then I would just tighten it a little bit more until I am. Went right through. Then we bend this up and over. If I can, grab some pliers. And for me, because I don't want to catch my fingers on them later, just stamp them down. All right, cotter pin's in. She's torqued to 45. I'll do the same on the other side, but before then, we don't want to forget our little zert. This goes down in the bottom. This is what you put your grease in with. Little zert fitting. This one's being a pain in the butt to start. So I'm going to switch to the other one. Okay, got it started. This one I believe is a 5/16. There we go. These don't need to be very tight. I think snug would be the name of the game. That's one side wrapped up. I'll knock out that side the exact same way. In regards to the adjuster sleeve and the clamps, the only real tech tip is this gap should not be over this gap. They need to be offset from each other. And then make sure there's no obstructions. Like I don't want to hit my differential cover with these, so I'm gonna make sure they're pitted forward. And also ease of install. This is gonna be a lot easier. These torque to 35. Last step, take your trusty grease gun and grease her up. And my grease gun's out of grease, so I'll be replacing the grease and then greasing it up. Just enough pumps, either I see a little grease come out or I see this start to swell a little bit and I'll know I got grease all the way through this. Came pre-greased, so really you only need a few pumps. You don't have to overkill this. On the steering damper, I just ug-a-tug this a little bit with the impact and hand tighten the back up. Finish up, nice straight bar.